Okay, so now we're going to talk about putting things from point slope form into standard form. And so remember, point slope is y minus a value for y equals your slope times the quantity of x minus a value for x. And we're going to convert that to standard form, which is a times x plus b times y equals your c. And so we're going to move this to that form, and I'll show you how to do that now. And so the first thing we're going to do is, if we've been given some information, we're going to put that in the form that is congruent with the information we've been given. And so since we're given a point and a slope, we're going to use point slope form. And so this needs to be brought down just a tad, right up here, okay? And so we're going to have y minus a negative 5, which is the same as y plus 5, equals my slope, times the quantity of x minus a negative 4, which is x plus 4. Now it's in point slope form, but I need to put this in standard form. Remember, in standard form, there are no rational numbers, meaning there are no fractions, no decimals, only integers, and for a specifically, only a whole number. What I'm going to do is multiply not just 2, but a negative 2 on both sides of this equation. And what that's going to do is allow me to use the multiplicative inverse property here, and those will cancel out. Well, actually, the commutative property to move that next to it, and the multiplicative inverse property by canceling out these multiplicative inverses. And so I'm going to be left with just that 1 on top. This is still there. And so I'm going to have negative 2y using the distributive property, minus 10, equals, distribute that 1, which we all know is going to be whatever that number was, which was x plus 4. And now I need to remember that when I use standard form, it's going to be written so that the coefficient to x is always positive. And so right now my coefficient to x is 1 and it's positive. I'm not going to move this x because I want it to stay positive. So I'm going to move the y instead. So I'm going to add 2y to both sides. Cancel this out. Remember, I'm going to drop down a negative 10. X plus 2y, they are not like terms, plus 4. Then I'm going to subtract 4 from both sides. Let's bring this work up. That's going to equal a negative 14 equals x plus 2y. This is already in standard form, but let's make it look a little prettier. So I'm going to move this to the left-hand side. It's going to be x plus 2y equals a negative 14. My a is positive and it's an integer. Everything here is integers, no rational numbers. Let's make sure we know that it is in standard form by identifying your a, b, and c. A is the coefficient to x, a equals 1. B is the coefficient to y, b equals 2. And c is your constant, it's negative 14. So we've successfully moved it from here all the way to standard form. All right, let's do another one. Remember, we're moving them to standard form, and so A, B, and C are all integers, and A specifically is positive. So before we can do that here, we're going to need a slope to put this in point slope form. And so I'm going to have 5 minus 3, which is 2, negative 2 minus 8, which is a negative 10. That can be reduced to a negative 1/5. And so that's going to be my slope. Now I'm going to choose one of these points so that I can write it in point slope form. I'm just going to stick with the side I'm on and use the 8, 3. I'm going to use the negative 1/5. And so I'm going to have y minus 3 from this 3 here equals a negative 1/5 times the quantity of x minus this 8 here. Now I'm going to get rid of my denominator because I remember I can't have rational numbers and the negative sign at the same time by multiplying by a negative 5 on both sides. Multiply those two using the distributive property. Cancel out my negative 5s. Negative 5y plus 15, distributing that negative 5, equals 1 times anything is itself, x minus 8. Right, and so now we're going to put this in standard form. We have everything we need. Remember, my x is positive, so I'm going to stay with that positive x. by adding 5y to both sides. That's gone, and so I'm going to have 15 equals x plus 5y minus 8. I'm going to add 8 to both sides because I need all my constants on one side. And 8 plus 15 is 23 equals x plus 5y. X, integer, positive, integer, integer. And so my A equals 1, B is 5, and C is 23. If I wanted to make it look prettier, I would move this to the left-hand side, and I would have x plus 5y equals 23. And that's your standard form. Go ahead there, sir.
I don't get how the A equals 1. Because it's the x.
If you don't have a coefficient next to x, its implied coefficient is 1.
So the x equals 1. I didn't know like x.
Well, the coefficient to x equals 1. X, we don't know what x is. X follows that linear pattern. So x has multiple values. But the coefficient to x is 1.